This conference will now be recorded.
All right, what's up? What's up? We're gonna do kind of like a Q&A style, but there's a couple things that I want to do. One thing is go through what I think is perhaps the most useful scan for like OTC, and it's super easy to use. Everybody has access to it. You don't need a paid membership. All you need to do is just like back in the day, like back when I was in college, when I like 2013, 2014, 2015, back when I wasn't paying for a membership on stockcharts.com. I pay for a membership now because there's so much you can do with stockcharts.com, but there is a free predefined scan, and I'll go ahead and share my screen. I think this is the right screen. Excuse me. So for example, right now with the OTC being so hot, we have, one sec. Okay. I was trying to pull it up on another tab. Here's so if you just go to Google, type in predefined scan stock charts, you'll see all kinds of results, but you just find one that says predefined. And then under this page, right here at the top, predefined scan results. For OTC, what you're going to be looking for are the breakout type of charts, obviously. I mean, the big type of chart that I love, which is my favorite look personally, is like something coming off of bottom. And right now, my proprietary scan that I've run every single day, I mean, I've been getting scores and scores of hits. But you don't need a proprietary scan if you're not good with like, plugging in all the technical stuff to get a scan written. You can just go to predefined scan. And on predefined scan, you have new 52-week highs, strong volume gainers. Those are and moved above upper Bollinger Band is another good one. But typically, moved above upper Bollinger Band is going to line up pretty well with strong volume gainers. So right here under this middle category where it says OTC, you go under strong volume gainers, you see it says 93. So you right click that, you pull it up, and you get a drop down list of all the strong volume gainers. Okay. So I'll scan with you guys right now, and I'll just flip through them, and I'll show you like what I like, what I don't like. And this is how I scan literally every single night of my life. I can recognize which tickers I'm not going to right click on. Just based on the symbol, like a Y symbol, I have no interest. A Q symbol, I probably have no interest. So here we go. Just go down the line, pull them all up. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to have a list in a second of like 50, 60 charts. And then what I'll do is I'll quickly go through each of them one by one, and within 1 or 2 seconds, that's all it takes. 1 or 2 seconds, I'll have a decision whether or not I like the chart or dislike the chart. If I dislike the chart, I exit out, not going to pay attention to it. There's a chance that there's a chart that I like enough that I'm going to plug an alert on it, but I don't like enough that I don't like it enough to take skin in the game. And then there's a chart that I like enough where I'm thinking to myself, okay, tomorrow morning I'm putting a bid on this right away, right? So there's kind of like it's like 3 tiers. There's like no junk. Then there'll be a chart that I'm like, okay, that's interesting. And then there's, I go on my phone right away and plug in an order. Also, fun fact about me, I don't know if it's been talked about a lot, but I trade about 99% off of my phone. I think most people probably would find that pretty weird. I know my brother gets a kick out of it. My brother's actually visiting from out of town. You want to come say hi? Come say hi real quick. My little brother visiting from out of town. He gets a kick out of it that I trade mobile.
Flex fam.
What's your name in chat?
Greaves.
We are.
The big bad moderator over here.
Yeah, hell yeah.
You cracking the whip or what?
Don't need to. Everyone's crushing it.
Everybody
Everyone's
behaving?
awesome. Everyone's on the same page.
Cool.
No egos, humility.
All right, that's the way it should
Everything
be.
you preach.
Hell yeah, cool. But yeah, he gets a kick out of it that I trade off my phone. He thinks it's the funniest thing in the world. And Neron Burgundy in chat, one of my other friends was visiting this
You said you
weekend.
don't need 8 screens?
Nope, you don't need 8 screens. You just need 1 screen and you need a game plan. You just need a thesis and the game plan, and that's all you need, and an internet connection. But yeah, so here we go. I've got 60 tabs open. So that's a no, that's a no, that's a no, that's a no, that's a no. And so like one of the ways that I'm identifying it as a no, it has a lot to do with the volume and the overall choppiness. The volume, how if it's choppy or if it's pretty defined candlesticks, and then kind of, you know, if it's breaking out of an inflection or a breakout or something like that. So like this one counts as like that second tier. So this is something that I'll probably keep up, but like I'm not, you know, I don't love it or anything, but it's enough for me to go back. So after I come up with my list, I'll go back and I'll go through all the charts and go back a few years and see what they look like. So like for the sake of that, I'll keep this up for now. Yeah, probably not going to trade that. Probably not going to trade that. Got to go back a few years real quick on this. I don't think, no, nothing special. No. This is kind of interesting. Yeah, but then I go back a few years and I'm like, yeah, it's probably not something I'd trade. So just get rid of it. Not something I'd trade, not something I'd trade. Man, what a move on hemp. I need to keep watching, because here's a classic example of one of those front side moves that I miss. You know, it makes a 250% move. I miss the whole front side, but now I'll add this onto one of my various watch lists. I'll probably add it into my watch list titled like, you know, pullback watch. So like it's got a big front side move and I'm waiting for a pullback watch. That's not something I'd trade. This is interesting. I wonder what sector this is. HITIF. It's not a bad chart. HITIF. That's probably some kind of EV, green energy. HITIF, OTC markets. Let's see. I would think that this is some kind of renewable energy, something. Oh, it's cannabis. Oh, okay. Well, that explains it. Cannabis stock. I'm going to keep this up just because I actually didn't have this on my radar as a cannabis stock. So I'll keep that. No. This is a cannabis stock. I know that. Yeah, but it's not something I would trade. This is a cannabis stock. I know that. It's not a bad chart, but again, it's not something I would trade. Not something I trade. No. Oh, here we go. This is something that, you know, it's got a nice candle today. Multi-month consolidation. Now we broke through a couple different inflection points today on a little strong relative volume previous to the last month. So that's one I'll keep. I'll plug in some alerts. I'll add that to a watch list after I'm done. That's a no. This is an interesting chart, but this is kind of that second tier. This is something that I'll add to a watch list, but it's not anything I'm in a rush to get in.
Yo, Matt, quick question.
Yo.
So, when you see like that barcode shit on the chart, like
The barcode shit, like this?
no.
You're talking about like when it's 0.01 by 0.0, like 0.001 by 0.02, like when it just gets into like that choppy, like that.
You're talking about this?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's just when a stock is trading between no bid and 0001.
Okay, so just ignore it basically.
I'm forever from this point going forward gonna refer to this as barcode shit. That's not what that is. That's barcode shit. But yeah, this was a 000 stock, had a big volume day, came out of trips, did a nice move. I mean, really, it just continued grinding all the way up to a penny. So it pretty much went from trip zero, essentially no bid, up to a penny. So like 10,000%. Now it's consolidated a couple months. NECA, N-E-C-A. I feel like this is cannabis, but I'm not sure. It's either cannabis or like some kind of oil and gas.
Energy.
Okay, energy, yeah. I felt like I recognized it from years back. Yo, are you sure they weren't cannabis at some point?
Don't think so.
Regardless, okay, continuing. No. Damn, yo, that's so disappointing because I had a million of this just because like I was buying like I had like 30 different OTC pot stocks last week, and I ditched this at the end of the day Friday. And you want to know why? And you see it was a nice move today, but I had like a million shares around like 0.008. But the reason I ditched it was because I went to OTC markets because I was making sure that it was still a pot stock, and I saw this big fat skull and crossbones, and it tripped me out. I was like, nope, caveat emptor, nope, not gonna trade that. So fuck it.
What does that mean?
It means that they have not filed anything to the SEC in a long ass time. So they're delinquent. They're not up to date on filings. They could essentially get halted permanently at any moment. So it's not something that I'm going to even mention. No. That's an interesting one. So this kind of falls into that second tier. I mean, it's weird because there's no real chart. It's a very sloppy chart data, but then you have the last couple days where it went like 500%, very odd. So here, I'll just, find out real quick what the story is. And again, you guys know this. I'm not like a due diligence guy. I'm not a fundamental guy, but I'm always going to look up OTC stuff just to see like what the story is. RELI, holding company, insurance, potentially other sectors. I love how open-ended and honest they are. So we could potentially be EV, we could potentially be Bitcoin, we could potentially be renewable energy. That's funny. It looks like they have no idea what they are as a company though. So honestly, probably just get rid of it. This is an interesting chart, very interesting chart. I'll save this. I want to look up what it is real quick though. RSSV, like ideally it's a pot stock. Acquisition development holding company, targeted acquisition. So it's another company that doesn't know what it is until it's convenient for the stock, is what it sounds like. Yeah, I don't know. So like sometimes I'll even go to like IHOP. For those of you who are new to the stock market, iHub is from like the 1980s. This is what they used to use back in the dawn age of the internet. But I'll go here sometimes just to see if I could see. Okay, so I don't know. It's kind of weird. But like, you'll go to iHub to look for like pictures of like a solar panel, or you look for pictures of like like an eighth of weed or something, and that'll tell you kind of, oh, that's a weed stock. iHub's hilarious. It's so great. You could get you could get entertainment for hours reading iHub. But yeah, really interesting chart. I need to look into it a little more, see exactly what stock this is, because it's a very interesting chart. The volume today, I mean, 12 million shares traded, 17 cents. That's not bad. I'll keep that up. It's a no. This is a pot stock. I know that. At least last I knew of this stock, it was a pot stock, SGMD. I'll keep this up. I don't like this chart that much, but I'm going to keep it up just because I'll add it to a watch list. No. Nothing to, no, that's a no. Oh man, I can't exit out. I feel like I scanned this a couple weeks back. This is something that I'll add to like a second tier watch list, keep track of it. That's a no. Can't, need to go back, get rid of that, get rid of that. That's a no, that's a no, that's a no, that's a no. Go back a few years here. That's a great chart, but it's not, I don't see that as something I would trade. That's a no. Again, something I probably wouldn't be trading. And this big inflection break, I'd be curious to know what sector it is. Not a bad chart. No, no, no. So you see, I've been doing the strong volume gainer scan for forever, for years and years. And I do it every single day. And strong volume gainer is one of the scans that I use to find something like this OZSC. Remember I was talking about OZSC? Well, I mean, I first saw this on my scan around a penny. And then I think the first time I was confident enough to mention to you guys was when it was around 4 cents. And since then it's up almost 1,000%. But this is the kind of chart that I'll find on the strong volume gainer.
And can I make a quick note? If you look at that pattern there, that first pattern, and then Matt was like he felt comfortable talking about it, was on that secondary pullback, that one right there, kind of think of like hemp, you know, where that he's like, let me add that into that pullback type of scan. So you're watching for that type of pattern to emerge.
Yeah, exactly. But like, again, this is something this is something that I wasn't comfortable enough to tell you guys about, but like AXXA, it wasn't something I was comfortable enough to talk with traders about, because OTC liquidity, there's a fine line between like, I get worried that like I'll tweet something and then it'll create artificial volume. So I would rather it just be organic and me just trade and make money on it behind the scenes. Because there's just not, I mean, at the end of the day, it got pretty decent liquidity, but like a day ago when it was trading 7 million shares at 3 cents, I mean, I was buying a position, but I wasn't comfortable sharing, because I want there to be like OZSC type of liquidity on like an OTC stock, or like ALYI type of liquidity where it's super liquid. There's a ton of volume. You don't need to worry about tripping over each other. But again, this is another one of those charts that I'll find off of strong volume gainer. So like this candle the other day, like a week or two ago, I saw it on radar, added it on radar, and then, you know, I watch it for a couple days, and then I ping like Josh, I'll ping Tom, who I don't know if Tom's still here, but like this is something I'll mention to him, like, yo, like it's got a good shape, it's getting toward that multi-year inflection point, like you guys might want to take a look at it. But like this is something that you'll get off of this scan, a strong volume gainer. You'll find gems like this. Like this is another one that I wait, ADST, is it really not on stock charts anymore? Am I typing it in right? I'm tripping.
Isn't it ADTS?
No, it is, you're right. Like this is something a couple weeks ago, you get this candle, right? Strong volume gainer, you see it's a multi-year chart, multi-year bottoming type of chart. So I'll add it to a watch list, keep tabs on it, watch it closely. I mean, right now though, in the market, there's been so many examples of this over the last couple weeks. Like I'm trying, there's so many, I don't even know, like, okay, here's another one, BRLL. I pinged Josh, Tom, and my other homeboy because we got a little group text, and this is something, again, liquidity wise, I'm not sharing this on Twitter. I'm not sharing this with you guys, but I'm now giving you guys the tools to find this stuff for yourself, because I don't want to be, I just don't want to create like artificial volume. I want it to be very organic in-house. With that being said, you guys now know how to scan for these and what to look for, what I'm looking for, something like this. You've got a multi-year bottoming chart. You get over this recent inflection point. You get some strong volume. Next thing you know, this goes from a penny to 17 cents. You know what I mean? So this is what I'm looking for when I'm scanning OTC. I'm looking for these bottom charts with a shit ton of anomalous volume, breaking some key inflection levels going back a couple years. I mean, and the list just goes on and on and on right now as far as OTC is concerned. I'm just flipping through my phone. Okay, so here's a good one that I've been watching that hasn't moved yet. CELZ. This one had a big volume, big candlestick a few weeks back. And now it's been in this tight channel, a very well-defined channel for the last couple months. And you see that here. Here's the channel, right? No secret that it's consolidating within this channel. The volume, it's not the best, but it's certainly not horrible. 68 million shares traded today at 3 cents. I mean, that's a few $1 million volume worth of shares. So something I'm looking for here. Like, this is how I'm playing this one personally. I have skin in the game. 4 cents is the recent inflection. It's the recent high, so I'm using that as kind of the relative recent inflection break. And through that, you know, you go back let's just go back 3 years. You see this could reverse to like 10 to 15 cents, especially in the current environment of the OTC. We have stocks coming from sub penny to 10, 20, 30 cents within, 2, 3, 4 weeks. So, we've already had a big move. We had like 1,000% move. Now we've had a couple months digest that move. So like, this is something that's like top on my OTC watch list right now. I'll just give you another example. I'll try to find another one. Oh, like a recent one that I was comfortable enough to share with you guys was CETY. Back down here around 5, 6 cents. Big volume, broke the recent high, sector all came together. So like, this is another example, but I could find an even better example. I mean, MCOA, nailed this trade, was all over this trade from like 0.005, pounded the table again, right under a penny. I mean, my average across my 3 or 4 accounts that I trade on is in like the 8s. And I did take profits. I started trimming, but like, another great example, you get this huge couple volume, these huge couple candlesticks with these huge volume bars. You know the sector, you know what the company does, you know what the current environment is in the market right now. It's OTC. It's these sub pennies, marijuana stocks, right? So for me, this was an absolute no-brainer. And I literally had like a 0.008 average. The first I sold was this morning when it gapped up. It's really just about trusting the sector, trusting the chart, and trusting how you're executing on it. But yeah, I mean, that's really the formula in a nutshell. There's obviously there's more tweaks and some more proprietary measures that I have that I'm not going to get into detail about, but like the very basics that can go such a long way. I mean, if you spend, you saw how long it took me. It took me 5 or 10 minutes to scroll through all these and make and compile a small list of what I like, what I don't like, what I'm going to plug alerts into. You can do it very quick. It doesn't need to be a super complex process. Another OTC that I'm in love with is this GAXY chart. Super beautiful. This one popped up on scan for me on Friday. Just this little blip here. I've been watching. This has been high on my OTC watch list for months. So I had alerts go off on all of these candles here. I had alerts go off, alerts go off, alerts go off. And when those alerts go off, I'm plugging alerts back in. So I've got all kinds of alerts to watch these. But today's candle, we're essentially retesting the previous high on an anomalous volume bar. I mean, we actually closed above it. So you see the high from back here. And now we go back. I'll pull the chart back like 1 year. So you see, big move, kind of craps out, looks ugly. Now it has a big move. This time it didn't really crap out too much. And now it's retesting that previous high. So at this point for me, with this kind of chart setup, this multi-month, I mean, over the last 6-8 months, whatever time frame it is, excuse me, going back to last August, now this is something that like, I'm really starting to pay attention to this. I have a position. I'm not in a rush to sell. I'm not in a rush to like load my balls off into this position, but I'm certainly not in a rush to sell because it's a super clean multi-month. I don't want to say breakout, but like it kind of almost is a breakout. The breakout would be over this here around 6.5 cents. But going back, I mean, over 6.5 cents over this high. I mean, geez, you look at the volume. There's no resistance up on this thing until 15-20 cents up here. So it's high on my watch list. I have position. I want dips. This is the kind of OTC chart that I want to see some dips in. I want to see dips. I want to see how it reacts to dip strength. But it's a gorgeous chart. It's a beautiful chart. But yeah, the predefined strong volume gainer. This is going to give you a ton of information on what's going on in the OTC sector. Another one that I'll use on OTC is going to be the new 52-week lows, which in the current environment, you're not going to find much of. In fact, this is how many there are today. There's zero. There's no 52-week lows. But with the 52-week low scan, you'll find bottom setups that are getting a ton of liquidity pouring in as they, and when I say they, it's kind of like the promotional groups, because OTC is shady, man. OTC is real shady. There's a lot of like Russian mobs and Italian mafia type shit going on in OTC stocks. And like, it's funny, but like, I'm dead ass. Like there's a lot going on behind the scenes in OTC because it's just so unregulated. You can get away with so much stuff. So there's a lot going on. But when you get stocks going down to lows and you get this huge influx of volume, that's when I'll start paying attention. I don't have any examples right now. I mean, the classic example that I'll always go back to from a few years back is OWCP, when Josh and I nailed this thing back in late 2016. But the 52-week low OTC scan gets you these types of charts where you get these lows, this ugly, ugly, ugly chart with tons of choppiness, no liquidity, no volume, and then all of a sudden you get a big volume bar, and then you get another big volume bar, and then you get another big volume bar, and then you get another big volume bar, and it's kind of finding its footing a little bit, and then it gets a couple higher highs. And keep in mind, when something like this starts popping on my radar, I text Josh. I'm like, yo, Josh, find out like what the story is behind this. So like back in 2016, we have this on scan. It's the perfect ingredients for this bottom OTC chart with a ton of volume coming in. The diluters are passing their shares on to these promotional groups or whatever shady shit takes place. I don't know the extent of it. I just know what to look for. I know exactly what to look for. And when you start getting that huge volume relative to the past, the diluters are dumping their shares, they're getting out, and they're going into retail hands / promotional group hands. So you pay attention, you kind of have a grip on what the story is. At the time, marijuana company, marijuana legalization was a month or two away. So for us, it was a no-brainer load and hold type of deal. And then now, since you have a few months going back with no chart data, it's literally just gaps. It's just air gaps for months and months and years with no liquidity, no volume. Once this thing starts getting legs, it just has infinite room to go up. It could just go up and up and up and up for weeks. When you like, you guys see what I'm talking about? There's no liquidity, there's no real shape to the chart, and now all of a sudden we're getting that liquidity. We're getting some chart data. We've got a
So, Pat,
story.
when you talk about liquidity, that's just like actual candlesticks, basically. It's all
And
visual for you.
This happens.
Volume.
When
Volume.
I'm talking liquidity, I'm talking like relative. I mean good liquidity, like solid relative liquidity to what we've had and now what we're seeing. It's just a total shift from what you've seen from the past, whatever, however far back in history. There's no liquidity, there's no chart, there's no shape to the chart. It's just blobs. It's literally just barcodes. And then all of a sudden you have some volume, you get some chart data, there's a story. That's when you start to pay attention to. But the 52-week low scans are what are how you find this type of setup. So I'm always
One thing that I want to know is that this is kind of interesting about how the OTC works. This is like, you have to be able to pivot like this. Matt and I used to trade this setup like 4 times a week. We were nailing 100% type of trades. So at the time, you know, it had a good shape, but it was also following other stocks that went from like 0.003 to 5 cents. So everybody was like, you know, looking for this next setup. And so, you know, obviously the market's different now. Now traders are like, things are in a bullish pattern, but you know, the point being is that the markets are always evolving. Strategies that used to work, like that strategy, you don't see it happen very often anymore. Like we haven't really seen many plays like that over the last couple of years. But when we first started trading, that pattern would come around all the time. I'm talking 3 to 4 times a week, we'd get something that looked like that. And that's what people were trading back then.
Yeah, that's what the OTC market was for like a couple years. It was literally just finding these bottoms. And again, I'm not going over this because I'm telling you that this is what I'm looking for right now, because obviously this part of the market's dead. I'm just giving you an idea of how to scan for OTC, what to look for with OTC. Shit, I just had a stock up that I like the chart of and I crossed it out. Dang it. Yeah, because OTC for a lot of people is super taboo and people stay away from it because, you know, of all the crap they hear. But OTC is extremely lucrative, guys. Like OTC, man, I'm having some of my best days of my career over the last couple weeks, and most of that money is coming out of OTC. You know, there's a lot of stuff in the market right now, in the broad market, small caps, these mid caps. But if you're not able to adapt to that OTC type of environment, you're missing out, especially in this market, because I told myself years back that if I ever got to the point where I was where I am now, and we had a crazy OTC market, because the first like year that I traded OTC, it was nuts. It was so nuts. And I wasn't able to capitalize on anything because I didn't really understand how to trade OTC. So I always told myself, like, damn, you know, if down the road, like I have a little more capital and we ever get a market like this again, like I'm taking advantage of it. So this is what to look for, guys. Strong volume gainers, you're looking for higher highs, you're looking for some of those curl patterns off of low. You're trying to get a sense of the backstory. Don't buy too much into the backstory because you don't want to fall in love. Because at the end of the day, they're all crap. Every single OTC stock on here is a garbage company with no revenues, with no employees, horrible balance sheets. They're all make believe. It's all garage companies. But that doesn't matter because you have the mafia controlling these.
Also, one other thing I want to know is the patterns that we played that you guys been seeing in our small cap video are like our trades since you guys started. Everybody who's been following us in our service for the last 6 months, the same patterns we're playing on these OTC stocks. Like they're very similar patterns. Like for example, I put out the BLSP, or Penny mentioned it. I mentioned it last week, but that 0.02 break on BLSP today was like super tight, super like consolidated after a big run. It was just a textbook type of channel break on it. So the risk to reward, I know a lot of people are like, how do you trade that? Look, that stock traded 2 billion shares today. That's unreal in the OTC at like probably an average of 2.5. But if you look at the pattern, that's just a textbook flag pattern. So, you know, you're looking for these type of patterns to show up in the OTC the same way that you do with the small caps, mid caps, large caps. The strongest charts have similar patterns. Like they have big moves, they consolidate, buyers continue to hold, or people who have the stock continue to hold, new hands change in, buyers come in, and next thing you know, you get a next leg up. We've seen it with all of these stocks over and over again. Same with like TSMP as the most classic patterns. It's trading, it's a 6 billion market cap. It's trading hundreds of millions of dollars a day. So when you get these, a lot of people are like, you know, they've been asked like, how do you trade OTC? Well, like besides just knowing the stories, it's more about knowing the patterns and also looking for volume.
Wait, keep talking for a minute. I'm doing something.
Yeah, the patterns and the volume confirmation. So the volume is honestly big key to those stocks that are moving big times, like ALYI. So like when Matt was like, you know, looking for volume, didn't feel comfortable, he didn't really know if it was going to get that follow through in volume that it needed. However, something like BLSP, when I mentioned it at 0.2 and it's trading hundreds of millions of shares, there's literally almost zero slippage. It's like there's not very much, like you can take almost infinite size on that. Like you could take 10 million shares, 15 million shares on a stock that's trading 2 billion shares. So, you know, you're looking for similar type of patterns that you'd be looking for in small cap and mid cap and mid cap.
Like this was one that we talked about a couple months back, and now it's kind of come back on radar a bit. I had a couple pings go off today. I had Josh text me earlier, like, yo, heads up, PSYC should be back on our radars. And I agree with him. It had that initial move. It's consolidated a couple months. Now, today, this actually didn't come up on the strong volume, the predefined strong volume gainer, because again, strong volume gainer is whatever you want it to mean. Like I have a strong volume gainer that I've plugged in myself, but I don't know what parameters this predefined has, but whatever the predefined parameters are didn't meet today's candle. But maybe a Bollinger scan would find this. So like I was talking about, the Bollinger scan is another good one. So yeah, if you had like a Bollinger scan that like, you know, you crossed over the upper Bollinger based on the default Bollinger bands, you know, this would pop up. And typically when you have a Bollinger band alert go off on a daily time frame, that means that the chart's pretty tight. That's all Bollinger bands are. Bollinger bands are going to show you how tight a stock is.
So guys, these are like legit our hedge fund type of, some of our hedge fund type of secrets. Like this is how we're actually using, and you know, like it, and so we're just giving you the parameters for the OTC. But I want to talk about this PSYC really quickly. Is like you see all this money flowing to clean energy, marijuana now. So you just gotta think, like in my head today, I was like, all right, they're gonna probably come for these magic mushroom stocks again. It's just about understanding where this money flow is going to go to. So when some of these stocks start to pull back, it's like, yeah, MMEDF has a nice setup still. It's super constructive.
It is, but like with PSYC, let's backtrack a couple months to when we were initially talking about it, and then it kind of crapped out. But you see how the volume has really, for the most part, stayed really consistent over the last couple months. That's a very telling sign. that alone. But then, I mean, the same thing we were talking about, all the levels that we outlined, 5 cents, 10 cents, 20 cents, those targets are still super, super doable.
Yeah,
And
they're in
that's what we
place
want to
still.
see is we want to see the continued volume, the volume the same way we've seen it. The recent inflection break is right there around 0.022, so right above 2 cents. And then over 2 cents, the next high we want to see go out is right around 3 cents. Here's the levels. If we can construct with good volume up into these levels, I mean, it's shrooms, guys. Like our thesis hasn't changed on the sector. We're just now waiting for these charts to really.
We're early again. We're early again. This is kind of like not where you come in and slam it. The way that way you play this type of stuff, you grab a couple 100,000 shares here and there, right? Like maybe like tomorrow you might grab a 200,000, like I don't know, whatever your position sizing is. I don't know. It's relatively speaking, but let's say I was going to buy 2 million shares of this. I may buy $100,000 shares tomorrow.
Yeah,
maybe
talk about how you would play. Don't say how you would say.
Yeah,
don't say
this is how I would play it. This is how I'm approaching this type of trade. Is I'm approaching this trade as though it's just no rush. Don't even want to look at it. Not even something I'm really even paying attention to. My goal right now is capitalizing off of this big momentum happening in the marijuana stocks, the clean energy, OTC plays. And now I'm starting to get skin in the game on some back burner OTCs that have potential to be the next kind of theme. So that's the way that I'm approaching this. And, it's the right sector. Again,
Matt.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt, pull up PSCYF.
Yeah, this is another one that I was actually going to talk about. This is another.
I like that setup too.
It's like we've got the big volume. This is like, and this is another little like Matt, Josh, Tom. I mean, this really is kind of a formula that like me, Josh, and Tom have developed and stuck with over the years. But it's like looking for the big volume bars while the chart is still choppy. What's that tell us? Tom, like what does that tell us? Just say it, because like we all know for the three of us what it tells us, but like how we play off of it within a sector chart. I don't know if Tom's still here, but
I
like
mean, it's same as you guys talk about on all the other stocks. I mean, it's clear break coming up, inflection break.
Well, yeah, right going into that. But so I was saying more in line with like these charts that like
I see what you mean.
talking about, like these barcode charts where we're right at the beginning, right? This to me has always stood out as like a promo type of volume. It's like a very early type of promo volume.
That and there's no bag holders back there.
Yeah, so this big volume comes in very early on an awkward looking candle with not a lot of chart data, right? And now we've got a couple months where it digests through this volume. We get a couple more big volume bars, but for the most part, it's pretty small, pretty tame. And then we get another big volume bar, and then we retest this inflection break. And now we've got a couple more weeks where we've got a little higher volume, and now we're going for, call it like 40-cent break. But again, it's a mushroom stock. It's got the liquidity is not the best. But again, it's a mushroom stock. It's a good look.
Has liquidity. It has enough liquidity.
Volume. The liquidity is not ideal, but it's got the right volume. And there's a difference between volume and liquidity. So just keep that in mind. But yeah,
also, I want to just say something. I've been talking a lot to you guys about like intraday patterns. Imagine that was one of those charts I post like intraday, where if we had that set up and was intraday, that's what I said, that those are the moneymaker patterns. So think about it. We're tight on the intraday. You approach this type of pattern the same way. It's the same pattern that you would see on a stock that moved up big, consolidated all day, and then it's gearing up for the new next leg, but it never had a leg yet. So like that's the exciting thing about this type of setup.
Yeah, there's a lot to digest. I know because Josh and I've never done an OTC specific type of video, but there's a lot going on in the OTC right now, and I'm making most of my money from OTC right now. So I just felt like it would be wrong to not talk about it a bit more and get you guys a bit more comfortable with it. That's not to say go jump in head first tomorrow with max position size and like, you know, if you've never traded OTC, I mean, I've tweeted about it, I've talked about it a few times over the last few weeks. Like OTC is a different beast. It's an entirely different game. It's totally different. But you should become familiar. You should familiarize yourself with it. You should kind of fine tune as best as you can, as quickly as you can, a strategy around OTC. For me, it's all about attacking these setups. As soon as I see them scaling in, seeing dip strength over the course of a day or whether it's a week or whatever it is, playing the next curl up, playing that next inflection break. And then if it's got a good backstory, remember I said, backstory, don't read too much into it, but if it's in the right sector and if it's got a good niche, like that should give you a little more confidence. And the best go-to examples I'll use for the time being, ALYI, which, I mean, we've been talking about this for a few weeks now from like 4 or 5 cents. And then that OZSC, another one from like 4 or 5 cents. And now it's up at like 38 cents, right? So there's ingredients that come together. Like,
Honestly, one other thing I want to note to the people, I'm playing the OTC or a webinar with Collin tomorrow, Pajama Bull Flex Daily. But you know, I just want to point out that most of the stuff, almost everything he's posting in the OTC there, like he's posting the top setups. Like he's real good at the OTC. He's been trading these and learning with us for like the last 5 years. So I just want to like put his like
Flex Daily like hacked my scan or something.
I want to put this stamp of
what he did, but
on Bull Flex Daily. I want you guys to know he's been trading with us. He's took this seriously and he has like seen in all of these setups. He was around with OWCP.
No,
he was
dude,
around,
I know who it's
No,
Collin.
I'm not saying to you, I'm saying to
Collin.
everybody in the chat room so that they can feel comfortable. Like I'm just saying he knows what he's talking about.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah.
like
No,
he's posting most of the OTC stocks in the chat room currently. Like he's always bringing on the top ideas. So I just want to like just say, you know, we appreciate that, Collin, and you know, and I'm saying that I trust Collin, you know, for putting out that like OTC plays. He's got a real great eye, and I just want to make sure that like that's acknowledged.
Cool. Yeah. No, I definitely would say as far as Collin's whatever Collin's scan is pretty similar to what I have. He's going to see a lot of the stuff I'm seeing. You guys know I'm not in Discord. I'm not going to get in Discord. I'm not going to chat with you guys. But if Collin's got something that he's talking about, chances are I've got it on my screen and I'm paying attention to the same thing. So yeah, good work, dude. Keep it up, man. Also, congrats on your day today. I saw you had a big day. Congrats, bro. Keep crushing it, man. But yeah, I wanted to talk OTC, but now I'll kind of open the floor. You can ask some more questions about whatever, but I would love some OTC questions. If anybody's got OTC questions, or if you maybe just have a question in general about something, whatever it is.
I got a chart for you, Matt. MINE. It's a
Yeah.
shroom stock.
I know exactly what this is, dude. Yeah, it's a great chart. I mean, this is the type of chart where if this is 2 or 3 pennies within the next week or two, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, dude, you weren't trading, but back in the day, this was the big one back in right here. This was a huge move back in the marijuana sector back in early 2014, I think it was. Back here, I think. Where is it? Here? Somewhere in here. Yeah, it was here. So I'm real familiar with the MINE. They're always jumping on whatever's hot. So they're the perfect pump sector, or the perfect pump company. They're always going to be in what's hot. So that's what's good about a stock like this. And again, remember what I said, every OTC chart is garbage. I'm sorry, every OTC company is garbage. What they do is they are in the business to sell paper. And what I mean by that is they are in the business to sell retail, like me and you, to make you bag holders with convertible debt and toxic debt. And that's why you always seen random companies come out with random press releases about God knows what. I mean, this company is a perfect example of that. But with that being said, there's still plenty of money to be made off of these stocks, you know, so long as they don't get halted or whatever. But I don't, you know, until it happens, I'm sure there'll be one or two that get halted at some point. So always keep that in mind, taking like max position size overnight. The SEC can come in and they can halt these stocks and you can lose all of your money.
Dude, that's what I think's going to happen, to be honest. That's what I think's going to slow down the party.
That could definitely slow down the party. I'm sure it'll happen. I'm sure there'll be a stock or two stocks here soon that happens to. So that's why, like, going overnight, you definitely need to be aware of something like that. But again, that's probably going to happen on the companies that look like this on OTC market with this right here, the caveat emptor. If they've got that skull and crossbones, they're much more likely. So you should always be checking on OTC markets. If you have something like this, where you've got OTC QB, OTC QB means that they're totally up to date on their filings, that the SEC is good with these companies. You don't need to worry about an overnight halt on a QB. Most of the, I don't think I've ever seen a pink get halted. It's going to be rare because pink is up to date. OTC QB is just another level up from pink. There's pink and then OTC QB is like the next tier up. OTC QX is TRTC still? Yeah, TRTC. Good for them, man. They've come a long way. They really glowed up. Damn, they closed at 48 cents today. I let that one off my radar. But OTC QX is like the top tier OTC you could be. So OTC QX, OTC QB, OTC pink, those are all good. You don't need to, you could sleep easy at night. But like, I don't know, I'm trying to find it. So like here, this is one, okay, this is gray market. So gray market is what happens. You don't want to be trading on the gray market. The gray market is what happens after your stock comes out of being halted. So if the SEC comes in and halts a junk stock, it's a 2-week halt. The stock's halted 2 weeks, and then once it opens back up for trading, there are no longer any market makers. What that means exactly in layman's terms is that there's very awkward liquidity. The liquidity is going to be directly from buyer to seller without a market maker in between. Gray market's fucked. You don't want to be gray market. CBBT, good example here. CBBT is a stop. Pink, no information. They're delinquent on SEC reporting. This is not something that I'm holding a ton of money in overnight. You've got a blaring warning here. Warning, this company may not be making material information publicly available. I stay away from stuff like this. You don't, you know, this is not something that I'm holding $20, $30, $40, $50,000 overnight. ALYI pink, OZSC pink, and you'll also get the most liquidity and you'll get the best sustained runners in a pink. What is hemp? Yeah, see, hemp is stop. Pink, no information. Pink, no information. To me, it's dark. They're dark. They're not reporting. Sketchy. They're all sketchy, but these ones are especially sketchy. MJNA, I think, is pink. Yeah. What's another one? GAXY, I think, is QB. Yeah. So GAXY, beautiful. QB. That's awesome. What was there's one more. There's gray, there's limited, there's pink, QB, QX. Maybe we covered them all. I think we might have covered them all.
Oh yeah, yield sign.
What's that?
Yield sign.
Yield, yeah, yield, yeah.
Type in
But
Q
yeah,
again.
you want to stay away from like yield. You want to stay away from stop. You want to stay away from gray. You want to stay away from pretty much anything that's not either pink, QB. QX stocks typically trade pretty weird. So pink and QB are the ones you want to go for. But yeah, anybody got any questions or anything? I'm more than
Yo,
happy to
check
answer.
out BLPG and let me know what you think on ARSMF. Let me know if you think it's ready. Kind of looks like SHMP the other day, but it's F stock.
What is the ticker for the A one again?
ARSMF.
ARSMF.
ARSMF. Yeah, I guess it only comes up in TD.
Here, let me just go to Trading View. Hold up. ARSMF.
That's a mining stock. That's that one I sent you at like 23 cents like last month.
Yeah.
Oh, is that the okay? Yeah, yeah. That's a dope chart. Yeah, I don't have this on my radar. It's a great chart. Good setup. For some reason, I don't have my volume set up, but I would assume that this volume bar is probably like a 1 or 2 million volume bar, right?
Yeah, it's only 1.5 mil, so it's not that huge. I don't know.
Yeah, it's good enough. It's good enough.
Yeah. What do you think about BLPG? I think it is. I
This
get
one-
them so mixed up. BLSP and BLPG. BLPG. That's it.
This one right here.
Yeah.
Is it? This isn't marijuana, is it?
Yeah, it is.
It is. Yeah. I mean, it's certainly not a bad chart. You can see it's kind of choppy though. Like I don't like the sub pennies that are choppy like this. Like you see like some upper wicks here. There's like 5 days with those upper wicks. You see this.
Gotcha.
It's not a bad chart by any means, but this is something like if I were to play it, I would have skin in the game. I would add probably a little bit off that 0.06 break, and then I would
Yeah,
add a
that's what
little
I'm looking
bit
at.
more if we got up toward this high. But it's not something that I would feel comfortable taking a big position in. I'll show you one that I like a little bit better, would be the CBDL. This one is a sub penny marijuana that just it's a little less choppy. The liquidity is a little better for me. I can kind of get in and get out kind of any size that I want with the liquidity here. So like here, like the way I'm playing it is like skin in the game, and you know maybe add a dip as low as like mid to low threes. Add this previous breakout if it breaks over 5.006. And then if you go back to multi-year, like it's a multi-year bottoming chart. And right now the market's looking for these high liquidity sub penny OTC marijuana. So, you know, this is something that I personally like much better than something like BLSP, or I'm sorry, what was it?
LPG.
BLPG, which like, keep in mind the market could totally still come for something like this. It crosses off every check mark that I talk about, right? It's got the big first initial move with the strong volume, the multi-month consolidation. It's got the sector, and we know the market's coming for stocks like this. So it fits all the criteria. So I mean, trust your thesis, bro. I hope you crush it on this one.
Do you think if Canopy shits earnings in the morning that like a lot of the marijuana stocks I shouldn't be looking at, or not really? It shouldn't have an effect.
I mean, yes and no. Like I think didn't Tilray have shitty earnings a couple weeks back? I could be wrong.
I'm not sure if it was like before like this marijuana run though. So it might have been kind of irrelevant.
I mean, like it's definitely something you want to keep in the back of your head. Like I definitely trimmed down on a lot of my like I had a real nice position in Tilray that I trimmed down to like, I mean, I only have like 1,000 shares left now from like you know, I'm talking like max position size down here in the low 20s. And the thesis behind that is like, you know, it's not worth the risk to reward with this kind of chart. You know, upside might be a couple bucks, but downside, like this could easily pull back, you know, 15, 20% over the next week. And yeah, I mean, if it craps the bed on earnings, but again, if it craps the bed on earnings, I don't think that the OTC, especially like the sub penny OTCs, I don't think that they would get affected as much. But you got to keep in mind, like a stock like WDLF, which had this huge move the last few days. Like at this point, you know, 500% over the last couple days, like you should already have been trimming, in my opinion. Like I had a nice trade off this at like from like 0.09. It sold the bulk at like 2 cents. And, you know, I've got a couple shares left. But like, it's all about just not being greedy, really. If you're not greedy with it, and you're not greedy about chasing into these breakouts, you know, if you're already positioned, we've all been positioned in MCOA, we've all been positioned in ERBB, we were positioned early in Tilray. You know, at this point, you should have a good amount of profits worked up that like you've taken enough off the table where if CGC does shit the bed and it does pull back and it pulls back the sector with it, like you've already locked in a ton of your profits. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I don't, it's very hard for anything to pull back the market right now. So it would take a really shit earnings report to pull back this stock. I don't know. I guess we'll see pre-market tomorrow.
Gotcha. And congrats on your big day as well, boss.
Hey, I appreciate it, homie. I'm excited to
What time
see
what time is the release in the morning?
What?
It's supposed to be before morning bell.
It's pre-market. Tilray, APHA, CGC.
What time?
Like, they always report pre-market. But yeah, like honestly, I really hope they shit the bed on earnings. I hope this opens at like 35 or 36 because that would be a layup for us to buy that open dip and then get a quick couple bucks. That would be ideal. But man, this 5-year going back a few years, look at how far this came back. I mean, this stock looked dead a few months back when it was down at like $14. That's the power of the flex reversal, guys. That is the power of the flex reversal. Phenomenal comeback for the whole sector. You guys got any other questions? Thanks for the question, by the way, Collin.
No problem.
Surely someone's got something. But I do like this ARSMF. I'm going to add that. And then some of these graphite and nickel plays too. I remember mentioning to you guys, I think it was a week or 2 weeks ago, that I compiled a nickel and graphite watch list. But I'm going to go back through it tonight because I was just so busy today. I didn't have time. I didn't do any midday scans today. I didn't really pull up any charts midday. I mean, I had as many as 45 open positions today. There was one point where I had 45 positions open. Like I was all over the place. I was everywhere. I wanted to be in everything at all times. Like I was literally a robot from the time the market opened. And well, I went to the gym. I got a nice workout in. And then it's really like the first hour and the last hour of the day. I'm a robot. I'm literally just there. I'm like a computer. I'm literally just like screen clicking stuff, not paying attention to the world around me. What made you throw some of the breakout charts in the high volume scans right off the bat? What made you throw some of the breakout charts? I'm not sure I understand your question. Are you?
Why did you take it off? Like he's like,
Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, it just comes down to like what I recognize as like a good looking chart. Like I don't know, like something like this. Like it's, I just know right away when I see the chart, I just know it's not something I'm going to trade. Probably not something I'm going to trade. I'm just very quick at looking at a chart and knowing if it's something I trade or not. That's really just what it comes down to. I can make that decision within a second of looking at a chart of if it's going to be a chart I trade or not, and that's just based on the volume and the look and the price of where it is. Fubo is still constructive. I took like a $10,000 loss this morning on Fubo on the gap down. I mean, I tell you guys, if it gaps down and I have a position, I'm taking the loss and moving on. I'll comment on all the things that I still like about the chart. There's a lot more things that I still like about the chart than I dislike. First and foremost, riding along this trend line, this could realistically still dip down toward the low 40s and still be constructive. I'm not adding lower than last week's low. So last week's low was this candle here, so that was about 43. I don't want to see it hold, or I don't want to see it lose 43, but it still technically is constructive if it retests down here at like 42, 41. Another thing that I like is that since we had that gnarly upper wick a couple weeks back, followed by that ugly candle, followed then by the couple days of construction, trying to come back up toward that inflection, the volumes died down. So the volume's essentially gone down for about a week straight every single day. Another thing that I like is just the fact that it's still technically trading inside of that one candle. It's not the textbook definition of inside, but the last 5 days are still inside the range of that very good looking candlestick from last, what was that, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday. Last Monday's candle was a beautiful candle, and now it's had 5 days trading within that really good looking candle. So we're forming this micro channel. And if we get some more chart data developed within this micro channel, and if we inch back toward the previous high, which is up there around 53, 54, it's still in line. It's still in line to be a plus type of setup. It's just not something that I'm gonna hold. I'd rather just wait. I'd rather just be patient with it, come back to it. There's no reason to hold a red position. So yeah, I mean, it's not a chart that's going to gap up over $60. You know, it's never had a gap up. I mean, this day right here was the one day since it started trading on the listed exchange that this was the only candlestick where it gapped up like 20, 30%. You know, it's not going to gap up 20, 30%. It's just not gonna. So there's going to be plenty of time to watch this construct itself. I will say then the couple things that I don't like is the fact that like the broad market's been on a freaking tear for the last 5 days. Off of this low, huge move off the low, the broad market, and then you look at this and it's kind of like, well, what the fuck? Like how is the broad market so strong and this one, you know? So like that's something that like I don't love. So those are the pros and the cons with it. But yeah, I mean, if you're asking me how I'm playing it, maybe scale a little bit off of like 51 break, scale a little bit more into like 50, 53, 54 break. Just let it play out. Just be patient with it. There's no rush. When's the website coming? We ditched our previous. We were trying to go through GoDaddy, which in hindsight was just a horrible decision. It was a cluster F. It was logistically just too difficult to figure it out. So we're now working with one of our good friends here in Austin. We had a meeting with him last week. We're waiting to get back a quote and stuff like that. Trust us, we want the website done just as much as you guys because it'll make it much easier for us. It'll make everything easier. It'll make everything easier to handle on the back end. It'll be a nice, organized, really clean, professional looking, but Yeah, I mean, as soon as it can. Honestly, it's probably going to be another 2 months because after we're done getting the quotes, we still need to like get all of our videos up. I'm talking like me and Josh like record a video of ourselves, you know, like an introduction video. We got to do headshots. You know, we're going to make it look very professional. It's going to be a very, very high-end website. So once we have all of our ducks in a row, we're gonna hopefully take about 2 months from then. So I would say by early spring.
Then
When's
you
the
guys
Lambo?
can all share, then you can share it with all your friends and family.
Yeah. I decided it's gonna be an Audi R8. The Lambos are too much maintenance, too hard to upkeep. Ron really sold me short on the Lambo. My dream's always been Lambo, but Lambo's just too expensive to maintain. Audis are much more cost effective to maintain. My dad's always told me that too, because I've always fantasized my dad, like, I would love a Lambo or Ferrari, and he's like, you're an idiot. You're gonna pay tens of thousands of dollars upkeeping it. What made you, when's the website coming? I got a message, big boys, Apple, Tesla.
Well, guys, I'm headed up. This is Josh. I'll see y'all in the morning Discord.
Peace, dude.
Take care. Thanks, Matt. See ya.
Peace and love. Tesla looks great. Nothing to trip out over. And Apple looks great. Apple looks really great. I love the look of Apple. You know, it's charts like Apple and it's charts like Amazon that make me think that, like, you know, QQQ and SPY can keep grinding upwards. They're just so constructed looking. How do you feel about Tilray hitting 52-week high? I mean, I kind of touched on it. It's such a good setup. I made a great trade on it, like for like 40, 50%. And now at this point, I'm really just kind of being patient for some digestion. I've scaled back size quite a bit. And then another reason that I scaled back size is CGC, which is comparable to, like, for the marijuana industry, for the marijuana sector, CGC's earnings report is kind of like the Amazon of earnings, or like the Apple of earnings. So, you know, it's kind of gambling holding into any earnings reports, but definitely want to scale back my size going into an earnings report. Because Tilray would be directly affected if CGC shit the bed. But again, you know, if CGC blows their earnings out of the water and gaps up huge, then like I said, I still have some skin in the game on Tilray. It's a great chart. I mean, it's a phenomenal chart, multi-year reversal pattern. I've been talking about this reversal for months. I was talking about it last June, July. It obviously pumped out, came back, started talking about it again right here around $11, $12. Mentioned it again right around $19, $20. I've been all over this thing. I've nailed this thing for some good money this year already. So I love it. But with that being said, I'm a trader, and I am in love with the chart, but I'm not in love with the trade, and I'm not in love with keeping money. I'm in love with the idea of taking profit. That's what I'm in love with. So I've taken a lot of profit. Any other questions? Go webinar. Thanks, dude. Yeah, I mean, just kind of closing thoughts, where my head's at going into tomorrow. Bitcoin today was kind of a sign of the times. It was very surreal seeing Tesla news of them adding Bitcoin to the balance sheet. Elon Musk essentially said he was going to do it a couple months back. I don't know who remembers, but there was a series of tweets. Who started the conversation? I forget who it was, but there was some conversation between someone heavily invested in crypto. I want to say it was Chamath, but I don't know. I don't know who it was, to be honest. But Elon essentially said that he was going to be adding Tesla to the balance sheet. I mean, and everybody knows how Elon is. He's in it for the memes too. So his response was kind of cryptic, but at the same time, it was like, okay, we all know Elon, like, he's going to do something with it. But anyway, it was very surreal to see that this morning. I've been talking for the last few weeks how I was buying Bitcoin on the pullback off this constructive look. I bought as low as 29.30. I bought as high as 38,000. So I had a good position in Bitcoin. Seeing all my alerts, I had like 10 alerts go off pre-market this morning. I woke up, I looked at it, I'm like, what the hell? Like, this must be a glitch or like some kind of fat finger. And then I signed on and I saw it was at 44,000. I was floored. So I took a lot of profits. But anyway, where I'm going with this is that it's very, we're kind of getting back into that super euphoric, greedy market. I mean, some OTCs that we've seen over the last couple weeks, like this TSNP, which came from 000 to now close to $2. This thing's gone almost 80,000% over the last couple months. It's like mind-boggling. You can't even wrap your head around it. COUV, another one that comes to mind, that came from sub penny to now 70 cents, 20,000%. The list goes on and on and on. I'm just thinking of some off the top of my head. SNW, SNPW, what was this? Here, SNPW, from sub penny up, 16,000% in a couple weeks. The list goes on. My point is that OTC right now is awesome, but it's also totally batshit crazy. It's totally nuts, and it's like I always talk about, it's not sustainable. You can't think that this kind of market's going to be sustainable. And at the end of the day, the best situation is that a lot of these huge pumps that have gone thousands of percent, they take time, they cool off, they pull back, they go sideways for a few months and kind of reset everything in a way. But where I'm going with all this is that it's a very greedy market, very euphoric market. You just need to be on your toes. And when you start sensing that the rug's getting pulled and the music's slowing down, you need to make sure that you're sizing down, that you're respecting all the rules that have gotten you to this point. It's just, it's those extra precautions. You just need to be extra on your toes. And I know I beat that like, all the time. I'm always talking about it, but I'm going to emphasize it again, because especially seeing Bitcoin today, like, what the hell? Like, there's just so much going on. You guys just need to keep staying patient, stay disciplined, respect your stops. And I think above all else, just don't fall in love with any of these companies or any of these trades. Take your profits, be smart with it. Let's hope it continues forever. I hope it continues in it forever, but yeah, I guess we'll see. It's such an underrated statement. A lot of people will be exposed when market turns. Yeah, dude, it's the nature of the beast. It's like a microcosm of GameStop, right? GameStop had this huge nutty move. For 2 weeks, all we saw was 18-year-old virgins in their parents' basement with their Cheeto laced fingers talking about how much money they're making, how many thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars they're making, and now they're all holding bags. And that's exactly how the stock market works. That's literally the cycle of the stock market. And me and Josh, we're going to do the best we can to ensure that this never remotely comes close to happening to any of you guys. Because at the end of the day, it's all about controlling your own psychology. And if you have wraps on your own psychology, you'll never hold it back like this. You'll never be a meme. You'll never be a meme. So that's really what our mission statement is. Trade with traders. Don't be a meme. We'll help you. But it's serious though, like dead ass. That's like the number one thing. You don't want to be someone that has a stock at, $40, $50, $60 and averages up to 500 and is now red. You don't want to be, that guy on Reddit, Deep Fucking Value, what's his name on YouTube? It's like Roaring Kitty. Dude, he had one of the most legendary calls I have ever seen. Like completely under the radar, and honestly like lines up with a lot of the theses that like I personally have on like breakout charts and like reversal charts. And that goes into like super high short interest, you know, super strong bear sentiment, and then you get this reversal off bottom. Like, dude, he had a freaking brilliant thesis, and he had such a massive position relative to what he bought in. Dude, he sold out of his 500 contracts, he sold 50 contracts. I think out of his 50,000 shares, I don't think he sold a single share. How could you be that greedy that you watch a stock where his average was down at like $5 or whatever? And I'm not hating on the guy. Again, he had a brilliant call, an absolutely brilliant call. But like, how do you hold a stock from $4 up to $400, $500 and only take off 50 out of your 500 contracts and not take off any shares? Like, dude, what goes through people's minds, man? This guy had 50, $60 million on the table and he was looking for more. Like, dude, that is just innate human psychology. You're just being greedy. You're just being a greedy bastard. Like, that's what it comes down to, greed. And if you're greedy in this type of market, you're gonna get killed. You're gonna get humbled. And everybody over the last 2 weeks has gotten real humbled real quick on something like this. It just blows my mind, man. Like, I just don't understand. I think he's still up like 10 or 15 million or something like that, which, like, awesome. Like, that's still good for him. I'm not taking anything away from his thesis, his original thesis, his call. It all worked out. But, you know, you even had until this gap down at 150 to still get out for a huge win. Like, I'll never understand that part of human psychology, but I've also graduated from that human psychology because I just don't think that way. If I have profits, I'm taking profits, and, you know, I'm trusting my gut and I'm letting a trade work, but I'm also not being greedy. WWR, I think, is a phenomenal chart. For anybody that remembers, a couple weeks back, I was kind of rough on WWR. I was very vocal about it, that I didn't like the setup, that I was very vocal that I wanted to see exactly what's happened over the last few days. I wanted to see that play out. And now that it has played out, I'm definitely on board with, especially that inflection break right there. From Friday and now today held up. That was right around $9. $9 was technically a very big inflection break. So as long as this holds around $9, upper $8, my plan is to build a swing position into that dip strength. And the next level is up there around $14, $15. So we are now in this channel. Here's the channel that we were in for the last couple months. Okay. And now we've moved across that channel's inflection, and now we're into the next channel. So as long as this channel holds pullback, volume, not ideal, not a breakout type of volume, but it's certainly an inflection break type of volume. Like, this type of volume can support an inflection break, but my gut says with this type of volume that this has a red day tomorrow. And we'll see just how strong this inflection break was. If it holds 10, if it holds 9.5, that would be really strong. But I mentioned this, and I'm sticking to it. I think we need to get back up here, you know, 100 to 150 million shares traded. If this is going to break out above 15, we're going to need this type of volume. We're going to need this type of volume, not this type of volume. Massive, massive difference. The volume needs to support the breakout, and right now it doesn't. So let's see how the pullback is. Going back, sorry. RAYRO. I do like this chart, but I don't love it. I'm, again, kind of similar to what I was talking about with WWR. It's hanging in there, but it's really choppy. Kind of reminds me of FUV, which we all know what FUV did. you know, I was all over this thing in $14, $15, $16. And I was very vocal. It was just going to be too choppy. It was going to trip me out, and it did. This is another one that I see playing out very similar to FUV. It's a good chart. I just, if I was playing, I would use like 6.5 to low sixes as my stop, but it's a good chart. It's just choppy. RMO, decent reversal look, but it's nothing special. Needs time. I'm not interested in RMO until it breaks like 24. That being said, if your risk strategy, if your strategy with this is that you're using a very tight stop, and this is a risk to reward type of scale, you know, $18, $17 it's a good risk to reward. XL pretty much the same thing. Just there's nothing immediately good about either of the charts. Solo, same as AYRO, except I do like this chart a little bit better. It's a little less choppy, but it's a very grindy looking chart. It doesn't look, I don't think this would get explosive until it got to like 10 or 11. So really I'm just watching to see if it gets to 10, if it gets to 11, if it's got volume in the range of like 50 to 100 million, then that could support a follow through blow off type of move. Thoughts on Josh's stash? He already shaved it, dude. He's not stash gang. Josh does a mustache for like 2 days, dude, and he thinks he's part of the mustache gang. So I'm giving that a hard. Nah, I mean, dude, when Josh has a mustache, Josh looks great, but he needs to keep the mustache. He needs to embrace. It's like a lifestyle. You can't just have a mustache for 3 days, shave it, and then you can't just have a mustache whenever you feel like having a mustache. That's not how it works. Yeah, like if you have a mustache, you have a mustache. You got to have the mustache. You have to embrace the mustache. I'm still making that a requirement at some point, so still be on the lookout for that. Yeah, dude, I'm short Josh's mustache right now. If he would keep it for like a month or two, you know, that'd be a different story. Josh is funny though, because he's got a thick beard, and when he shaves, the first couple days after he shaves, he goes from looking like he's like 35, 38 to looking like he's like 19. It's really funny. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna stop sharing the screen here. I hope that was informative. It's been a long time coming. I've wanted to do an OTC type of video for a while, so I hope you guys got a lot out of it. You're welcome, Pat. You're welcome, guys. Awesome. I'm glad you guys liked it. And you know, it's recorded. I'll post it. I might even make this like a YouTube video because there was a lot of valuable info in this. But yeah, I'm glad you guys found it informative. I appreciate all the kind words, and I hope everybody kills it tomorrow. Josh will have a webinar or our broadcast pre-market. He'll go over game plan. And just keep the Discord as professional as possible during market hours. Keep it strictly stocks, strictly conversation about stocks. After hours, we can have fun and chat away, but during market hours, I really want to just keep it stock related. So let's try to make that as close to possible as we can. And Josh is gonna moderate the crap out of you guys. So. Is the real reason you didn't go to the meeting last night because you bet Brady? Bet against Brady? Bro, I'm not like I wanted, so the way I do bets, like if I'm betting for a team, I'm secretly rooting for the other team. So like it's a win-win. Like, dude, my risk to reward strategy takes place way outside of the market. I'm always thinking risk to reward. So like if my money's on the Kansas City Chiefs, which it was, that means that I'm rooting for Tom Brady, and I'm happy if Tom Brady and the Bucks win. So it's a win-win either way. Like I lose money, but the team I wanted to win still won. So I'm never losing. You know, it's always going to be a win. It's a foolproof strategy. All right, guys. Yeah, it is genius. Like that's what I do with like the Ravens, because like I never bet on the Ravens. So like typically I'll bet on like the other team. So if the Ravens are playing like the Bills in the playoffs, I would bet on the Bills winning. Therefore, like, you know, if the Ravens lost, at least I make money. Yeah, it's kind of sick, isn't it, Neron? It's kind of messed up, but you know, that's how I think. All right, guys, I hope everybody enjoyed this. I hope everybody has a great day tomorrow. I'm out. I'm gonna stop